video is Math 7 Unit 7, first lesson, the introduction to probability. We'll be learning some important vocabulary terms. All right, if you have your notes, you can follow along page 98. So our first vocabulary term is experiment. Now from a science standpoint, an experiment, you've got some controlled variables and some experimental variables that you're changing to try to determine something scientifically. In math, an experiment's just an investigation or procedure that has varying results. So it's something you can do that has more than one possible outcome. Like if you drop a dish, it could break or it might not break. That's an experiment, it has varying results. Another example here, you roll a six-sided dice or a six-sided die. Outcomes, the possible results of an experiment. For rolling a six-sided die, there are six possible outcomes. You could get a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, or a 6. For dropping a dish, there are essentially two possible outcomes. I mean, it can break several different ways, but it can be not broken or broken. An event is a collection of one or more outcomes. For example, an event could be that a 4 is rolled, or an event could include a 2 or a 5 being rolled. Or an event could be a 1, 2, or a 6 being rolled. And then favorable outcomes are the outcomes of a specific event. So, for example, if the result is that I want a number less than 4, the favorable outcomes are 1, 2, and 3. If the result is that I want an odd number, the favorable outcomes on a six-sided die would be 1, 3, and 5. If my event is rolling a 7, there are no favorable outcomes for rolling a 7. Okay, here's a few examples to help you understand. So the experiment is that I could roll a six-sided die. There are 6 possible outcomes. You could get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. The possible events, each of these is an example of an event. These were given on the previous page. And favorable outcomes, these are specific events that could occur, and the favorable outcomes are the things that will make that event be considered true and actually having happened. Here's another one. Mrs. Boston selects a Ryder Pride card. The outcome, every card in the box is a possible outcome. And there are too many to list here. Plus that would be posting student names online, which I'm not going to do. Okay, specific events. Each is an example of an event. Joe is selected. A 7th grader is picked. One of Hannah's cards is picked. Okay, so those are all potential events. Here's some favorable outcomes. If the specific result we're looking for is Joe being selected, the favorable outcome is Joe's card. If the specific result is a 7th grader being selected, then one of the 127 7th grade cards belonging to 7th graders would be the list of favorable outcomes. If the specific result is Hannah's card being selected, then one of the 7 cards in the box that have Hannah's name on it would have to be selected as your favorable outcomes. Okay, you roll the number cube. What are the possible outcomes? Well, you should realize since there are 6 sides, the possible outcomes include 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. What are the favorable outcomes for rolling an even number? Well, you need to look at the list of outcomes and choose all of the ones that are even, 2, 4, and 6. So the even outcomes, 2, 4, and 6, we've got the not even, but the favorable outcomes are 2, 4, and 6. What are the favorable outcomes for rolling a number greater than 5? All right, let's look at this. There's only one number on the number cube greater than 5, and that's 6. All of the other outcomes would not be favorable here. So the favorable outcome of this event is rolling a 6. Okay, let's look at another example. You randomly choose a letter from a hat that contains the letters A through K. What are the possible outcomes? All right, so it says it has the letters A through K. So the possible outcomes would just include every letter of the alphabet, A through K. So it could be A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, or K. What are the favorable outcomes for choosing a vowel? They would be, well, let's see, the vowels include A, E, and I out of this list. We don't include O or U because O or U are not in the hat. They're not even possible outcomes, so they can't be favorable outcomes. So the favorable outcomes for choosing a vowel include these three, A, E, and I. Okay, another example. You spin the spinner. How many possible outcomes are there? Now this is where students can sometimes make mistakes. You only see 4 colors, so you think there are 4 outcomes. However, there are still 6 outcomes. And those are the 6 sections. Those outcomes include red, green, red, purple, red, and blue. All 6 of those are possible outcomes. In how many ways can spinning red occur? Well, since there are 3 red sections, you can spin red in 3 ways. C, how many ways can spinning not purple occur? What are the favorable outcomes for spinning not purple? Well, not purple can only happen one way. Actually, no, purple can happen one way. Not purple can happen 5 ways. The spinner has 5 sections that are not purple, so spinning not purple can occur 5 ways. Red, 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 green, and blue. The favorable outcomes for this event are red, 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 green, and blue. Okay, the examples in the notes. You selected a letter from the word probability. List all favorable outcomes for each event, choosing a T. Now, it is asking us to list the favorable outcomes, not say how many there are. The favorable outcomes of choosing a T, since the word probability only has 1 T in it, the list of the favorable outcomes is just T. All right, example 702. List the favorable outcomes for choosing a B. The word probability has the letter B happen twice, so the list of favorable outcomes would include B and B. Next one. The list the favorable outcomes for choosing a vowel. We're just going to list all of the vowels. There's an O, an A, and 2 I's. That includes all the vowels. So there are 4 in total, and they are O, A, I, and I. List the favorable outcomes for choosing an X. There are no X's in the word probability, so there are no outcomes that will give you an X. Okay, next, list all favorable outcomes for choosing a consonant. Now, consonants are letters that are not vowels, so this would include everything except O, A, I, and I. So P, R, B, another B, an L, a T, and a Y. That would be the list of favorable outcomes for choosing a consonant, P, R, B, B, L, T, Y. The favorable outcomes for choosing a letter, since every letter in the word probability is itself a letter, any of these letters is a favorable outcome. So it include P, R, O, B, A, B, I, L, I, T, and Y. Every letter in the word probability. And the total number of favorable outcomes would just be however many there are there. What is that, 11 of them? Okay, further on into some examples. You pick a card from a deck of cards numbered 1 through 16. For each event, determine the number of favorable outcomes. Example 707. Picking a number less than 5. Okay, the cards are numbered 1 through 16. So just picture here having the card numbers 1 through 16. You don't necessarily need to list these. I am listing them so that, after 9 is 10. I am listing them so that I can describe the process you might go through, at least mentally in your head. So maybe this is mostly happening in your head down here. Okay, so picking a number less than 5. For picking a number less than 5, which numbers does that include? Okay, it'll include 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, does it include the number 5? Let's think about this. What does it mean to be less than 5? Less than 5, you would not include the number 5. You would only include 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that means that there are 4 outcomes. This one's just determine the number of favorable outcomes. We are not writing the outcomes, we're just determining how many there are total. So here there are 4 cards. Okay, picking an even number. All right, thinking my way through all the even numbers, there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, and 16, all being even numbers. So if I count those up, it looks like there are 8 of them. So here I would say 8 outcomes, or 8 cards. Okay, example 709. Picking a perfect square number. Now, perfect squares, these are the numbers that, if you had a square, 1 by 1 has an area of 1. 1 is a perfect square. A 2 by 2 square has an area of 4. 4 is a perfect square. A 3 by 3 square has an area of 9. A 4 by 4 square has an area of 16. A 5 by 5 square would have an area of 25. Now, the numbers 1, 4, 9, and 16 do occur in this list down here. The number 25, however, does not. So we're looking at 1, 4, not 8, 1, 4, 9, and 16 as perfect squares. That's 4 cards that represent favorable outcomes. Okay, you don't necessarily need the list. The list can be in your head, but you need to think through the numbers and be able to count how many outcomes. Let's look at just a couple more examples. Let's assume you randomly choose one of these marbles. Let's see, there's 8 of them. How many possible outcomes are there? Well, I just gave that answer out. You just count up the number of marbles. There are 8 marbles, so how many possible outcomes? There are 8. Okay, next question. In how many ways can choosing blue occur? Well, choosing blue can occur 2 ways. I could choose this blue marble, or I could choose this blue marble. If I choose any other marble, I will not get blue. So there are 2 ways for blue to occur. In how many ways can choosing not yellow occur? What are the favorable outcomes of choosing not yellow? Okay, first, how many ways? If I choose this marble, it's not yellow. This marble, not yellow, not yellow, not yellow, and not yellow. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 ways. It does say to list the outcomes. This would include blue, green, blue, red, I skipped over red it looks like, and purple. So there are 5 favorable outcomes for choosing not yellow. They are blue, green, blue, red, and purple. Okay, this ends the main lesson part of the video. Thank you for watching.